rain was falling hard. Black umbrellas stood like trees in the cemetery, and cries rose and fell. I stood in the last row, watching the woman in the black dress in front of me, her shoulders shaking as she wept. That was my wife, Sophia. She was crying for her dead first love, Dylan's funeral. I suddenly laughed. Sophia, what are you doing? Sophia turned and glared at me, tears still on her face. Dylan is dead, and you're actually laughing? Why can't I laugh? I closed the umbrella and let the rain hit my face. He's dead. I'm happy. Everyone in the room looked at me. Dylan's parents, George and Linda, Sophia's close friend Mia, and those so-called friends. Their expressions were like they were looking at a madman. Are you crazy? Sophia rushed over, trying to cover my mouth. Do you know what you're saying? I push her away easily. After 5 years of marriage, I already knew how light she was. I'm perfectly clear-headed. I looked at the coffin, my voice loud. Dylan, you're finally dead. Sophia was stunned. She had never seen me like this. Gentle me, considerate me, the me who indulged her in everything. Do you want to know why I laughed? I looked around. Let me tell you. Ethan, don't talk nonsense. Sophia panicked and tried to pull me away. I shrugged off her hand. 5 years ago, when Dylan was chasing my wife, do you know what he did? The rain got heavier, but no one left. Everyone was waiting for me to continue. He sent Sophia a message on an overseas messaging app the day before our wedding. I took out my phone and pulled up a screenshot. He said he had a terminal illness and only 3 months to live. Sophia's face went instantly pale. He said he would kill himself if Sophia didn't see him one last time. I continued. So my wife softened and went to see him. Do you know what happened next? The room fell silent. Only the rain could be heard. They spent the night in a hotel. My voice was calm. My newlywed wife, on the day before our wedding, spent the night in a hotel with her first love. Sophia collapsed to the floor. Ethan, it's not like that. She cried. Listen to my explanation. Explain what? I walked up to her and crouched down. Explain why you lied to me about going to Mia's. Explain why your eyes were swollen when you came back. Explain why you refused to sleep with me that night. She couldn't speak. Plus these 5 years. I stood up, looking at everyone present. Do you really think Dylan had a terminal illness? Everyone looked at one another. Dylan's parents looked grim. He was perfectly fine right up until yesterday. I laughed even louder. In 5 years with that lie, what did he get from my wife? Guess. Sophia covered her face and cried even harder. Money. I held up one finger. $5 million. Affection. I held up a second finger. Meeting twice a month. Body. I held up my third finger. I don't need to spell this out, do I? Dylan's mother Linda stood up and pointed at me, shouting, You're talking nonsense. My son isn't that kind of person. Is he not? I took a USB drive out of my pocket. Want to see the hotel surveillance footage of your son and my wife? Everyone in the room sucked in sharp breath. Sophia's eyes widened. When did you? Yesterday. I held the USB drive up high. The day before he had the accident, I got this evidence. Ethan, don't do anything rash. Sophia reached for the USB drive. I took a step back. Do you want to see? I asked everyone present. Want to see how this so-called good man, this deceased who made you cry like this, destroyed my marriage? No one answered, but no one left either. I originally planned to wait until after the funeral to say this. I put away the USB drive, but seeing you cry for him, I couldn't help myself. Someone like that, if they're dead, then they're dead. I opened my umbrella again. Worth celebrating. I turned to leave. Sophia got up, clung to my leg. Ethan, can we go home? Let's go home and talk slowly. Home? I looked down at her. Are you sure you still have a home? She was stunned. I've already prepared the divorce papers, I said. They're in the car. No, I won't agree to a divorce. She held on tighter. Ethan, we have a child. We can't get divorced. I smiled. This was the second time I laughed today. A child? My voice was quiet, but everyone present could hear. You mean that 5-year-old? Sophia's crying stopped. Do you want me to tell everyone who that child is? She let go of my hand. I walked toward the parking lot without looking back. Louder crying came from behind. Not just Sophia, but Dylan's parents as well. They must have understood something. The rain kept falling. I got into the car and lit a cigarette. My phone rang. It was my assistant, Leo Martinez. Mr. Ethan, everything has been arranged. Mrs. Taylor over there. Proceed as planned. I took a drag of my cigarette. It's time she learned the truth. Yes. I hung up the phone and looked at the chaotic funeral scene in the rearview mirror. 5 years. Finally, it was time to close the net. I will never forget that night 5 years ago. The day before the wedding. I was setting up the bridal suite at the hotel, and Sophia said she was going to her best friend's place for one last get-together. Tomorrow is our big day. She hugged me and kissed my cheek. Ethan, thank you for marrying me. At that moment, I felt like the happiest man in the world. We dated for 3 years, I proposed successfully, and we were about to get married. Sophia was my college classmate, the campus beauty, suitors queued from the dormitory building all the way to the cafeteria. But she chose me. Go ahead, come back early. I stroke her head. You have to get up early tomorrow to do your makeup. She left, and I continued busy arranging the room. Red roses, candles, champagne, imagining that tomorrow night we would spend our wedding night here. But she didn't come back that night. Her phone couldn't be reached. I found her best friend, Mia. Mia said she hadn't gone at all. Sophia didn't come to my place tonight. Mia was puzzled. Wasn't she supposed to be with you? I didn't sleep that night. Not until 6 o'clock the next morning did Sophia come back. Her eyes were red and swollen, her clothes a bit wrinkled, and her hair messy. Where did you go? I asked her. Mia's house. She didn't dare look me in the eye. We talked too late, so I stayed there. I knew she was lying, but I didn't call her out. Today was our wedding. I didn't want to fight. Go take a shower and do your makeup. I said, the makeup artist will be here any minute. She nodded and went into the bathroom. I quietly checked her phone and found that message from a foreign messaging app. Sender, Dylan. Content. Sophia, the doctor says I only have 3 months left. Come see me one last time, please. Otherwise, I really will die with my eyes open. The timestamp on that message was 7 o'clock last night. I kept scrolling up and found they'd been in contact the whole time. Since half a year ago, Dylan was Sophia's first love. They dated for 2 years in college and broke up when he went abroad to study. I thought they would never cross paths again. Unexpectedly, he returned to the country and reconnected with Sophia. I saved a screenshot of the message and deleted the chat history. Then I acted as if nothing had happened and waited for her to come out of the shower. The wedding was a great success. There were more than 300 guests. It was a grand occasion. When we exchanged rings on stage, Sophia cried. I thought she was just too happy. Now that I think about it, she was probably crying for Dylan. On our wedding night, she refused me. Ethan, I'm too tired today. She lay with her back to me. Can we do it tomorrow? I didn't force her, but it left a bad taste in my mouth. In the days that followed, I began to investigate quietly. I discovered that Sophia met with Dylan every month. Sometimes it's the Blue Ridge Cafe, sometimes the Metro Cinema, sometimes the Hilton Hotel. I hired a private detective to follow her. He got a lot of photos and videos. The two of them hugging, kissing, then going into a hotel room. I pretended to be a fool, acting like I knew nothing. Kept being a good husband. Bought her gifts, took her to movies, brought her on trips. Every time she came back from an affair, she was exceptionally gentle with me. Maybe it was guilt, but that feeling didn't last long. She would soon go to see Dylan again. A year later, she became pregnant. I was happy, thinking it was our child. Sophia was acting very strangely. Sometimes happy, sometimes anxious. Ethan, what if this child doesn't look like you? She suddenly asked me one day. It doesn't matter if he doesn't look like me, I said with a smile. Maybe he'll look like you. Then what if? It's neither like you nor like me. That sentence made me suspicious. I secretly had a paternity test done. The results showed the child was not mine. At that moment, I felt as if the sky had fallen. But I still didn't say anything. After the child was born, he was named Tom. I love him like my own son and took care of him. Sophia thought I didn't know anything. She continued to keep a relationship with Dylan. She even gave most of the allowance I gave her to Dylan. She said it was to help him pay for medical treatment. I finally understood Dylan's scheme. He didn't have a terminal illness at all. It was just a con. A con designed to hijack Sophia's emotions, and my wife had been completely toyed with by him. I began to formulate a plan of revenge. If they loved each other so much, then I would make it come true for them, complete it fully. I spent 3 years secretly investigating everything about Dylan. His company Parker Enterprises, his friends, his family, his weaknesses. I began to make my moves. First, I invested in his company and became his partner. He was smart, but still too inexperienced in business. I spent a year driving his company into heavy debt. Then I pulled my funds out at the decisive moment. His company went bankrupt. To pay off the debts, he started asking Sophia for money. From the initial $100,000 to the later $1 million. Sophia even secretly sold the jewelry I had given her to help him. But she didn't know I'd put trackers on all that jewelry. I knew her every move. Yesterday, I finally closed the net. Dylan asked Sophia for money again. This time he wanted $5 million. He said he needed it for surgery, otherwise he would really die. Sophia panicked. She couldn't come up with that much money. So she came up with a plan to steal money from my company, Johnson Corp. She thought she was being very covert, but I'd actually been waiting for this day. The moment she made the transfer, my trap was fully sprung. After Dylan got the money, he drove to the bank to deposit it. There was a car accident on the way. Dead. Of course, it wasn't an accident. I hired someone. Now, the game has only just begun. 3 days after Dylan died, I returned home. Sophia sat in the living room, her eyes swollen and red, clearly having cried for a long time. Tom, sleeping in her arms, the 5-year-old slept very peacefully. Ethan, let's talk. She looked up at me, her voice a little hoarse. About what? I sat on the sofa, keeping my distance from her. About Dylan. She took a deep breath. Some of what you said is true, but not all of it. Oh, I leaned against the back of the sofa. Then tell me, which parts are fake? I saw him. I did see him. Her voice was very soft, but not as often as you said. Not often if it's twice a month? She froze for a moment. You, how did you know? I know everything. I looked at her. Sophia, 5 years. Do you think I don't know anything? She lowered her head, not daring to look at me. I know the first time you met was at Blue Ridge Cafe. I began to enumerate. March 15th, 2019, 2 in the afternoon. I know the second time you met was at Metro Cinema. I continued. You watched The Avengers and you cried. I also know where you two went to a hotel for the first time. I stood up and walked to the window. Hilton Hotel, 8th floor, room 808. Sophia shivered. Ethan, did you have someone follow me? Not follow. I turned to look at her. Protect. I was afraid something might happen to my wife. Then why didn't you just ask me? She hugged Tom tightly. If you had asked me sooner, things wouldn't have turned out like this. Ask you? I laughed. Ask you what? Ask you why you cheated? Ask you why you lied to me? Ask you why you spent my money to support another man? She couldn't say a word. Or ask you why you gave birth to a child that's not mine? That sentence was like a bomb, blowing her face pale. You, what are you saying? She held Tom tightly. Tom is your son. DNA doesn't lie. I took a report out of my pocket and tossed it onto the coffee table. You can look. Sophia trembled as she opened the report. It clearly stated, test results show Ethan Johnson and Tom are not biologically related. She collapsed onto the sofa. Impossible, this can't be. She muttered, Tom, it was clearly yours. Sophia, you know it in your heart. I walked over and looked at the child in her arms. This child has never looked like me since he was little. Do you think I really couldn't tell? Tom, he did indeed look like Dylan. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, all so similar. I raised him for 5 years. Looking at that face every day, what it felt like in my heart only I know. But I love him. I stroked the child's hair. He is innocent. Ethan, Sophia began to cry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Does saying sorry help? I sat down again. Sophia, do you know how I've lived these 5 years? She shook her head. Every morning when I wake up and see your face, what comes to mind are images of you with other men. My voice was very calm, but my heart was bleeding. Every night when I hold you to sleep, what I feel is your longing for another man. Every day I give you money. and all I can think is that you'll give that money to Dylan. I looked at her. Every day, I play with Tom, and all I can think is that I'm raising someone else's child. Do you know what that feels like? I asked her. It's like eating shit every day while having to pretend it's delicious. Sophia cried even harder. I don't know. I really didn't know you knew about this. She said haltingly, if I had known you knew, I wouldn't have. Wouldn't have what? I interrupted her. Wouldn't have kept lying to me? Wouldn't have kept seeing him? Wouldn't have kept spending my money? She couldn't say a word, because we both knew she would. Ethan, I really thought Dylan was going to die. She finally spoke, her voice very small. He said the doctor told him he only had 3 months. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. 3 months. I sneered. Sophia, he lied to you for 5 years. This terminal illness lasted 5 years. Don't you find that strange? She was stunned. Or are you just unwilling to expose this lie? I stood up. Because then you'd have an excuse to keep being with him? No, she hurriedly shook her head. I really thought he was going to die. And now? I asked her, he's really dead, are you satisfied? Sophia held the child, crying like a child. I never wanted him dead. Just what? I just can't let him go. She finally spoke the truth. Ethan, I know I've wronged you, but I really can't let him go. Those words killed me. Completely killed me. Fine. I walked toward the door. If you can't let him go, then let's get a divorce. No, she chased after them holding the child. Ethan, let's not get a divorce. I will never contact him again. He's dead. I will never. Too late. I didn't even turn my head. Sophia, the game's over. I stepped out of the house, got into my car, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing at the doorway holding the child, crying her heart out. But my heart was already dead. It had been dead since the night before that wedding 5 years ago. Now, I only want revenge. Complete revenge. Let her know what pain is, what despair means. Just like these 5 years of mine. I didn't go back to the office. I drove straight out to a villa in the suburbs. This is what I bought 3 years ago. Sophia doesn't know. I pushed the door open and Assistant Leo was already waiting for me. Mr. Ethan, all the documents are ready. He handed me a folder. I opened it and glanced through. Inside were Dylan's detailed records from the past 5 years, including his bank statements, call logs, even every video of his meetings with Sophia. Well done. I closed the folder. How's Sophia? She should have noticed the irregularity in the company account by now, Leo said. Per your instructions, the finance department will notify her this afternoon. I nodded. Sophia is our company's chief financial officer. She embezzled $5 million from the company to help Dylan raise funds. This is embezzlement of public funds, enough to put her in prison for several years. Also about Dylan's parents. Leo continued reporting. Let them know the truth. I interrupted him. Tell them everything about Dylan and Sophia's relationship, about that child. Leo nodded and left. I sit alone in the villa and light a cigarette. I think back to the first time I met Sophia. It was 6 years ago at a club event on the university campus. She wore a white dress and smiled so sweetly, like an angel. I was immediately drawn to her. It took me half a year of pursuing her before she agreed to be my girlfriend. We dated for 3 years. I thought we would be together forever. I never expected that someone else had always occupied her heart. The phone rang. It was Sophia calling. I didn't take it. She called again, and I still didn't pick up. After she called more than a dozen times in a row, I finally answered. Ethan, the company's money. I can explain. Her voice was frantic. Explain what? My voice was cold. Explain why you embezzled public funds. I just borrowed it. I'll pay it back. She said through tears. Borrow? I sneered. Sophia, embezzling $5 million is a crime. Ethan, please help me. I really will pay it back. She pleaded. Why should I help you? I asked her. Help you keep lying to me? Help you keep betraying me? She couldn't say a word. The police will be looking for you soon, I said. Think carefully about how you'll explain it. I hung up, then put her number on my block list. For the next few days, I did nothing and just waited for news in the villa. Leo kept updating me on the progress. Sophia was sued by the company, and the case had already been handed over to the procuratorate. After learning the truth, Dylan's parents wanted to fight Sophia for Tom as custody. Sophia's parents rushed in from their hometown, and after learning the whole situation, they were so angry they were hospitalized. Her world was collapsing bit by bit. On the fifth day, Leo brought me an unexpected piece of news. Mr. Ethan, Mrs. Taylor would like to see you. Where? Detention center. I went. Through the glass, I saw a haggard Sophia. In just a few days, she looked 10 years older. Ethan, thank you for coming to see me. She picked up the phone, her voice very weak. I came to hear your explanation. I also picked up the phone. Explain what you've been doing these past 5 years. She lowered her head and was silent for a long time. I know I wronged you. She finally spoke. But things aren't what you think. Were they then? I did have a relationship with Dylan. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. But the person I love is you. I didn't respond. When Dylan first returned to the country, he did contact me. She continued. He said he regretted it. Regretted going abroad. Regretted losing me. And then I turned him down. Her voice was steady. I told him I was already married, that I had my own family. But he said he was sick, that he only had a few months to live. She wiped away her tears. He said he only wanted to see me one last time, to say a few words. I softened. She admitted, I went to see him. One meeting turned into 5 years. I sneered. No, she hurriedly shook her head. After the first meeting, I told him clearly that we couldn't get back together. But his illness kept getting worse. It was continually deteriorating. Her voice grew softer. He said if I didn't stay with him, he would go and die. You believe that? He showed me the diagnosis and the doctor's certificate. She said, Ethan, when I saw those reports, I was really scared. I knew she was telling the truth, because I'd seen those medical reports too. They were very convincingly faked. Dylan spent a lot of money forging them. Where did the money go? I asked her. $5 million. Why did you give him so much? He said he was going to the U.S. for treatment. She began to cry. He said it was the last hope. If we couldn't raise the money, we'd just have to wait to die. I couldn't bear to watch him die. She looked at me. Ethan, I know this is unfair to you, but I really couldn't do nothing and let him die. I understood. Sophia really was deceived. But that couldn't be an excuse for her betraying me. What about Tom? I asked the crucial question. How'd he get here? Sophia's face went pale instantly. She opened her mouth, unable to speak. Speak. I looked at her. Tell me, how did that child come to be? She closed her eyes, and tears streamed down. It was an accident. She finally spoke, her voice as small as a mosquito. Dylan said he was dying and wanted a child to remain in the world. I refused him, but she paused for a long time, but he forced me. I was stunned. What? He forced me. She repeated, that night I went to see him, and he drugged my drink. When I woke up, it was already too late. She cried harder. Ethan, I really never expected to be pregnant. When I found I was pregnant, it was already 3 months along. She looked at me. I wanted to get an abortion, but then I thought it might be yours. I understood. At the time, she wasn't sure whose child it was, so she took a gamble. It turned out she lost the gamble. Why didn't you tell me? I asked her. I was afraid you wouldn't want me anymore. She cried. Ethan, I'm really scared of losing you. Those words softened me for a moment, but I hardened again quickly. So you chose to keep lying to me. I said, making me think that was my child. She nodded, made me the sucker for 5 years. She nodded again. Sophia, do you think I'll forgive you? I stood up, ready to leave. Ethan, wait. She tapped the glass. I know I was wrong, but Tom is innocent. He needs his father. I stopped walking. His father is already dead, I said without turning back. Go to Dylan's parents. I walked out of the detention center with mixed feelings. Sophia was indeed deceived, but that didn't change anything. Betrayal is betrayal. Deception is deception. No matter the reason, it doesn't change that fact. My revenge has only just begun. After leaving the detention center, I didn't go straight back to the villa. Instead, I went to the cemetery. There were still fresh flowers at Dylan's grave. They were probably from his parents. I stood in front of the tombstone and lit a cigarette. Dylan, You didn't expect this day, did you? I said to the tombstone. 5 years of lies are finally going to pay the price. The wind was strong, rustling the leaves. Do you know? The night you died, I was right behind you. I took a drag of my cigarette. Watching your car crash into the guardrail, I felt no remorse at all. In 5 years, you ruined my marriage, destroyed my family, and left me to raise your child. My voice grew colder. This debt needs to be paid. My phone rang. It was Leo calling. Mr. Ethan, Dylan's parents want to see you. Where? They said it's important and they have something to tell you. I stubbed out my cigarette and drove to Dylan's parents' house. It was a house in an old residential complex, simply decorated. Dylan's father, George, opened the door. A man in his 60s with hair already turning white. Mr. Ethan, please come in. His tone was very respectful. In the living room, Dylan's mother Linda sat on the sofa, her eyes swollen and red, clearly having cried. What can I do for you two? I sat down opposite. George and Linda exchanged a glance. Then George spoke. Mr. Ethan, regarding my son and your wife, we want to apologize. Apologize? I raised an eyebrow. Why? We know the truth, Linda said through tears. We know what Dylan has been doing these years. She took a cardboard box from under the coffee table and handed it to me. These are things Dylan left behind. We found them while tidying up. I opened the box. Inside were some photos, videotapes, and a few diaries. I skimmed through them carelessly, my expression growing increasingly ugly. This is all material Dylan secretly filmed of Sophia. The photos were taken from various angles, including of her at home, at the office, and even while she was bathing. The videotapes are worse, recording every meeting between her and Dylan. The diary detailed Dylan's plans. Find a best doctor and forge the most convincing medical report. Sophia is too kind. She'll definitely soften. The first time worked, she really came to see me. I showed her the fake diagnosis. She cried so sadly. Today, another $100,000 is due. Sophia said this is her pocket money and told me to get well. Sophia is pregnant. The child is mine. But she thinks it might be Ethan's, which is even better. I can keep using that. Ethan is such a fool, actually raising someone else's child as his own for 5 years. Seeing these, my hands were trembling, not because of anger, but because of disgust. This piece of scum doesn't have an ounce of humanity. Mr. Ethan, we truly didn't know Dylan did these things. George's voice trembled. If we had known, we would never have let him do this. We're willing to compensate, Linda said. We'll sell the house and give you all the money. I looked at the two elders, my feelings complicated. They really were innocent. The house doesn't need to be sold. I pushed the cardboard box back, but I have one condition. Please tell me. Tom, I won't take care of him anymore. I looked at them. He's your grandson. You raise him yourselves. The two old people looked at each other. But we're old, Linda said awkwardly. Then send him to the nursing home. I stood up. In any case, don't expect me to do it. Wait, Mr. Ethan. George called after me. We can raise Tom, but we hope you'll withdraw the lawsuit against Sophia. What? After all, she's Tom's mother, Linda said. If she goes to prison, Tom will be devastated. I sneered. Your son deceived her for 5 years, caused her to embezzle funds, and now you expect me to let her off? Mr. Ethan, we know this request is excessive. George knelt down. But please, for Tom's sake, give her a chance. Linda knelt down as well. Two elderly people in their 60s were kneeling in front of me. I softened. Get up, I sighed. I can withdraw the lawsuit, but on one condition. The two elders hurriedly stood up. What condition? First, Tom, change your surname to Parker, and from now on you have nothing to do with me. They nodded. Second, Sophia must divorce me and leave with nothing. They nodded again. Third, I'm taking these documents as evidence. All right. I picked up the cardboard box, preparing to leave. Mr. Ethan, George called after me again. There's one more thing. What? Dylan's death. Was it really an accident? I stopped and turned to look at him. What do you think? George's expression changed. You mean? I didn't say anything. I opened the door, but if I were you, I'd keep your mouth a lot tighter. I left their house feeling much lighter. At least, the truth was finally out. Sophia was indeed a victim, but she was also an accomplice. Dylan was the mastermind, but he had already paid the price. Now, it was time to deal with the aftermath. I took out my phone and called my lawyer, Noah Harris. Prepare the divorce papers, according to the terms I mentioned before. All right, Mr. Ethan. And drop the charges against Sophia. Understood. Finally, do one more thing for me. I looked at the distant sunset. I want to donate $10 million to the Children's Welfare Home. In whose name? Anonymous. I said, just say it's for those children who lost their parents. Tom, although he wasn't my child, I did love him. This was the last thing I could do for him. The next morning, I went to the company. This was the first time I'd stepped into the office in a week. Assistant Leo was already waiting for me at the door. Ethan, Mrs. Taylor has been released, he reported. The prosecutor has dropped the charges. I nodded and walked into the office. And also, Mrs. Taylor's parents want to see you. No, I refused outright. I have nothing to do with the Taylor family anymore. Understood. Leo handed me a document. This is today's schedule. I glanced at it. 3 meetings in the morning and 2 important clients to see in the afternoon. Life has to go on, and the company still needs to operate. Personal matters must not affect work. Just as I was about to start the day's work, the secretary knocked and came in. Mr. Ethan, a lady wishes to see you. She says it's very important. Ooh, she said her surname is Chloe, called Chloe Bennett. She was Mrs. Taylor's college classmate. I thought for a moment. I did have a vague impression. Chloe was Sophia's close friend and had attended our wedding. Let her in. Chloe walked into the office. She was a woman of about 30, very pretty and with a nice demeanor. Mr. Ethan, sorry to bother you. She sat opposite me. I'm here about Sophia. She sent you. No, I came on my own. Chloe shook her head. Sophia doesn't know I'm here to see you. Then what do you want to say? I leaned against the back of the chair. Plead for her. Not to plead. Chloe's gaze was steady. I'm here to tell you the truth. The truth. I was intrigued. What truth? About Sophia and Dylan. She took a deep breath. She was indeed deceived, but not entirely. I raised an eyebrow to signal her to continue. When Dylan first returned to the country, he did contact Sophia, Chloe said, but Sophia's reaction was different from what she told you. How was it different? She was very happy. Chloe looked me directly in the eyes. Mr. Ethan, Sophia has never forgotten Dylan. Those words were like a knife, driven straight into my heart. When she first started dating you, she often mentioned Dylan to me. Chloe continued. She said she wished he hadn't gone abroad, said she'd actually been waiting for him to come back. Then why did she marry me? My voice was a little tight. Because she thought Dylan would never return. Chloe sighed. She needed a man to give her a sense of security, and you were the best choice. So, I was a substitute from the very beginning? You could put it that way. Chloe nodded. But later she really did fall in love with you. Fall in love with me. I sneered. Fall in love with me and still betray me? Mr. Ethan, a woman's heart is complicated. Chloe said, Sophia can love 2 men at the same time, but in different ways. She loves you because you gave her a stable life and a warm family. She loves Dylan because of the beauty of first love, the memories of youth. I understood. In Sophia's heart, I am reality, Dylan is the dream. That child, I asked. It really was an accident, Chloe said, but Sophia truly didn't know whose child it was at the time. You mean, she was with both of us at the same time? Yes. Chloe nodded. During that period, she often came to me in tears, saying she didn't know what to do. My heart went completely cold. Not just a betrayal, but a double betrayal. Why did she do this? I asked. Because she couldn't bear to let go. Chloe said, she couldn't give up the sense of security you gave her, nor her feelings for Dylan. So she chose to have both. Yes, she was selfish, Chloe admitted, but Mr. Ethan, she did love you. Love me. I stood up and walked to the window. Is this how she loved me? She's full of regret now. Chloe also stood. It was only after Dylan died that she realized what she'd lost. Mr. Ethan, can you give her a chance? I turned and looked at her. What opportunity? A chance to start over, Chloe said. Sophia is willing to do anything to make amends. Anything? Yes, anything. I was silent for a long time. Finally, I returned to my seat. Tell Sophia I'm giving her a chance, I said, but not to start over, to finish properly. What do you mean? Meet at the law firm tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. I looked at Chloe, signed the divorce papers. If she cooperates, I can give her a sum of money, I continued, enough for her and the child to live on. If she doesn't cooperate, my voice turned cold. Then we'll see each other in court. Chloe's expression changed. Mr. Ethan, are you really unwilling to forgive her? Betrayal is betrayal. I looked out the window. No matter the reason, it doesn't change that fact. Besides, I don't love her anymore. I turned to Chloe. From the moment I learned the truth, I stopped loving her. Chloe wanted to say something, but in the end she said nothing. She picked up her bag, ready to leave. When she reached the door, she glanced back at me. Mr. Ethan, you are truly heartless. Heartless? I laughed. Compared to her, I'm still far from it. After Chloe left, I sat alone in the office. Staring at the city outside the window, my feelings were complicated. 5 years of marriage ended just like that. But I don't regret it. Some things, once they've happened, can never be treated as if they never did. Betrayal is betrayal. Deception is deception. No matter the reason, it can't change that fact. The next afternoon, I arrived at the law firm on time. Sophia was already waiting for me in the conference room. She was wearing a black suit, wearing light makeup, but it still couldn't hide her haggardness. Ethan, she saw me and tried to stand up. Seat. I sat across from her. Let's get this over with quickly. Lawyer Noah placed the divorce agreement on the table. You two can first take a look at the terms. Sophia picked up the agreement and grew paler the more she read. Ethan, this is too much. She looked up at me. You want me to leave with nothing? Too much. I sneered coldly. Compared to what you did, this is nothing. But we bought the house together and the car too. Her voice trembled a little. That money was mine. I cut her off. Have you forgotten? In these 5 years of marriage, did you work? She couldn't say a word. Indeed, after we married, she quit her job and stayed at home. I covered all the expenses. Ethan, I can walk away with nothing but Tom. She looked at me, tears filling her eyes. You can't abandon Tom. Tom is not my child. My voice was very cold. His father is already dead. His grandparents will take care of him. But he's been calling you Dad for 5 years. Sophia began to cry. He treats you like his real father. That sentence did sting me. Tom, he really clings to me. Every day when I get home, he wants me to hold him, and before bed, I have to tell him stories. But so what? That's not my fault. I looked at her. It was your deception that caused this. Now the one who has to bear the consequences is you, not me. Sophia collapsed into the chair, crying her heart out. Ethan, I know I wronged you, but Tom is innocent. He truly is innocent. I conceded, but I am innocent too. Why should I be responsible for someone else's child for the rest of my life? I asked her, can you answer me? She couldn't answer. If you think this agreement is unfair, we can go to court. I looked at the lawyer. Mr. Noah, if we sue, what can she get? Noah pushed up his glasses. Under the law, if it can be proven that one party was at fault, the court will tend to favor the non-faulting party. Mrs. Taylor's actions constitute infidelity and embezzlement. She will be at a disadvantage in the division of assets. And as for custody of the child, if it can be proven that the child is not Mr. Ethan's, the court will not assign Mr. Ethan the obligation of support. Hearing this, Sophia's face went even paler. So this agreement is already very lenient. I looked at her. At the very least, I'm willing to give you a sum of money. Sophia stared at the figure on the agreement. $500,000. This little money can do what? She said through tears. Not even enough for Tom. As tuition. That's your problem. I stood up. You can go to work. You can remarry. You can think of any way. But you can't count on me. I picked up my bag, ready to leave. Wait. Sophia called after me. I'll sign. I stopped walking. What? I said I'll sign. She wiped away her tears and picked up the pen. But I have one condition. What condition? Let me see Tom. One last time. She looked at me. Let me explain to him why Dad left us. Her request made me hesitate. Tom, still young, He doesn't understand the complexities of the adult world. In his heart, I am his dad. Okay. I finally nodded, but only this once. Thank you. Sophia signed her name. The agreement took effect. We were officially divorced. Stepping out of the law firm, I breathed a sigh of relief. 5 years of marriage had finally come to an end, but I didn't feel relieved. Instead, there was a sense of emptiness. Over the past 5 years, although it was painful, I had indeed grown used to having her by my side. Now suddenly single, I didn't know what to do. My phone rang. It was Leo calling. Mr. Ethan, there's something I need to report to you. What is it? About Dylan's car accident. The police came to get information. A chill ran through me. What did they ask? They asked where you were that night and whether you had any contact with Dylan. What did you answer? As you instructed earlier, you said you were working late at the office that night and that surveillance footage can prove it. I nodded. Of course there is surveillance footage. That was something I arranged on purpose. Anything else? Not for now, Leo said. But Mr. Ethan, are you really not worried? What are you worried about? What if they find something? They won't. I cut him off. It's very clean. It really was very clean. The man I hired has already left the city. All the evidence has been destroyed. Dylan's death will always be ruled an accident. By the way, one more thing. Leo continued. Mrs. Taylor has moved. Move where? To a very remote housing complex, the kind with very cheap rent. I was silent for a moment. 500,000 US dollars really isn't much. You can't buy a house in this city with that. Sophia can only rent a place to live, and she has to be frugal with her spending. But that's not my business. Her current situation is of her own making. Mr. Ethan, would you like to? Leo asked tentatively. No, I refused outright. From now on, her affairs have nothing to do with me. Understood. I hung up the phone and drove back to the villa. It was very quiet here, with no one disturbing me. I poured a glass of wine and sat on the balcony, looking at the city's lights in the distance, thinking about the life ahead. 30 years old, successful in my career, but my love life was a complete blank. It was time to start over. 2 months later, my life had basically returned to normal. The company's business was booming, and I began socializing again. When my friends learned I was divorced, they all started introducing girlfriends to me. But I wasn't very interested in any of them. After Sophia's betrayal, I became very cautious about relationships. That night, I ran into someone unexpected at a business cocktail party. Chloe. She was wearing a red evening gown, very elegant. Ethan, I didn't expect to run into you here. She walked over holding a champagne glass. Miss Chloe, hello. I nodded politely. You're in this circle too? I'm working in an investment company, she said. I'm here representing the firm today. We found a quiet corner to sit. How is Sophia? I couldn't help asking. Chloe's expression was somewhat complicated. Not great. She sighed. Work is hard to find. Rent is expensive. Life is tough. What about Tom? He's in a regular public school. Chloe said, Sophia works 10 plus hours a day and rarely has time to be with him. Hearing this, I felt a little uncomfortable. Although we were already divorced, 5 years of feelings aren't something you can just forget. Mr. Ethan, do you really not care about them at all? Chloe asked. Why should I care? I retorted. Their lives have nothing to do with me. But Tom, still call you Dad. Chloe said, he often asks Mom why Dad doesn't come home. That sentence was like a thorn stabbing into my heart. I picked up my wine glass and drained it in one gulp. That's her problem, I said. She should tell the child the truth. How can a 5-year-old child understand these things? Chloe looked at me. Mr. Ethan, are you really that heartless? Heartless? I sneered. Compared to her, I'm still far from it. Chloe wanted to say something, but I stopped her. Miss Chloe, let's change the subject. I looked at her. How about talking about work? For the rest of the time, we talked about work. Chloe is very smart and has good insight into investments. After the cocktail party ended, I drove her home. In the car, she suddenly said, Mr. Ethan, I have an impertinent request. What? Next week is Tom's birthday, she said. Sophia would like to invite you to the party. I hit the brakes and pulled the car to the side of the road. Are you kidding me? I looked at her. Why would I go? Because in Tom's heart, you are still his dad, Chloe said. This might be the last time you see each other. Last time, Sophia plans to take Tom and leave this city, Chloe explained. Go south to find work and start over. I fell silent. My reason told me to refuse, but emotionally I felt somewhat reluctant. Tom really isn't my child, but we've lived together for 5 years. Watching him grow from a few-month-old baby into the sensible little boy he is now. Where is it? I finally asked. Where they're living now. Chloe said, a simple birthday party, just a few of us. I'll think about it. Okay. Chloe glanced back at me before getting out of the car. Mr. Ethan, some things, once missed, really have no second chance. She left, and I sat alone in the car. I thought of Tom. The first time he called me Dad, I remembered his excitement when he learned to walk, and how every night he needed me to tell him a story to fall asleep. These memories are real. Whether or not he is my biological son, these feelings are real. I took out my phone and flipped to Sophia's number. After hesitating for a long time, I still didn't dial. The next day, I had Leo look into Sophia's current situation. The outcome was even worse than I had imagined. She worked as an accountant at a small company with a monthly salary of only $4,000. After rent and living expenses were deducted, there was almost nothing left. Tom's tuition was paid in installments, and she still has to pay off debts. Although the embezzlement charge was dropped, the company still demands compensation from her. $5 million at her current income. It will take 20 years to repay. Seeing these documents, I felt very conflicted. We were married for 5 years. Can I really remain unmoved knowing she's now living so hard? But when I think of her betrayal, I harden my heart again. This is the retribution she deserves. When Tom's birthday came, I still decided to go. Not for Sophia, but for the child who had called me Dad for 5 years. I bought a very expensive toy and drove to the place where they now live. It was a very old residential complex. There wasn't even an elevator. They lived on the 5th floor. I was a bit out of breath climbing up. When I knocked, I heard Tom's voice from inside. Mom, is Dad back? The door opened, and Sophia appeared in the doorway. She'd lost a lot of weight. Her face was very pale, but there was surprise in her eyes. Ethan, you really came. I ignored her and walked straight into the house. Tom saw me and ran over excitedly. Dad! He threw himself into my arms. I missed you so much. At that moment, my heart softened. Tom's birthday party was very simple. Besides me, Sophia, and Chloe, there were a few other children. The house was small, the living room only a dozen or so square meters, but it was decorated very cozily. Colorful streamers, a birthday hat, and a small birthday cake. Dad, look at my birthday cake. Tom pulled my hand and pointed at the cake on the table. It was a very ordinary cake, bought from the supermarket, with a candle shaped like the number 5 stuck in it. Very pretty. I ruffled his hair. Happy birthday, Tom. Thank you, Dad. He jumped up happily. Are you going to move back and live with us? The question brought the whole room to a hush. Sophia looked at me anxiously, and Chloe also stopped what she was doing. I crouched down and met Tom's gaze. Tom, Mom and Dad are going to live apart. I tried to say it in terms he could understand, but Dad still loves you. Why do you have to live apart? He blinked his big eyes and asked, Is it because I'm not good? No. I picked him up, Tom. You're very good. This isn't your fault. Then why? He still didn't understand. I looked at Sophia. Her eyes were red, but she didn't speak. Because Mom and Dad can't be together anymore, I said, but Dad will always love Tom. When will you come back? He hugged my neck tightly. I'll miss you. That line nearly made me cry. Dad is very busy with work and can't come back often. I struggled to control my emotions, but Dad will miss you. Tom nodded as if he understood, though not quite. For the rest of the time, I played games with him and told him stories, just like before. He was very happy, clinging to me and not letting me go. After the other children left, only the 3 of us adults and Tom remained in the room. Tom, go play in the room for a while, Sophia said. The adults need to talk. Tom unwillingly went to the room. Silence fell over the living room. Ethan, thank you for coming. Sophia spoke first. Tom, very glad. You're welcome. I said, this is the last time. I know. She nodded. We're leaving next week. Where to? Shenzhen City, she said. There's a friend over there who can help me find a job. What about Tom's school? Find a new school. Sophia's voice trembled a little, start a new life. I looked at this shabby house, feeling very conflicted. 5 years ago, we lived in a 200 square meter house. Now, she can only live in a place like this. Is the money enough? I asked. Yes, she said, but I knew she was lying. Moving out of Shenzhen, finding a house, finding a school, all of that takes money. And now she is almost penniless. Chloe said you have to pay back a debt. She lowered her head. $20,000 a month for 20 years. Why not file for bankruptcy? I don't want to shirk responsibility, she said. If I did something wrong, I should bear the consequences. That sentence gave me a slightly new understanding of her. At the very least, she still had a basic sense of responsibility. Ethan, can I ask you for one thing? She looked at me. What? If one day Tom asks about you, could you not say that he isn't your child? This request surprised me. Why? I want him to remember a father who loves him. Her tears flowed. Not a child who was abandoned. I was silent for a long time. I'll think about it. Thank you. Chloe had been silent. She spoke up at this moment. Mr. Ethan, there's one more thing I need to tell you. What? Regarding Dylan's car accident. The police have closed the case, she said. They determined it was an accident. I breathed a sigh of relief inside, but showed nothing on the outside. What does this have to do with me? It doesn't. Chloe said, I just thought you should know. It was getting late. I was getting ready to leave. Tom, reluctant to let me go, kept clinging to my legs. Dad, will you come again tomorrow? He asked. Dad is very busy with work. I crouched down and hugged him one last time. Tom, listen to your mother. Study hard. I will. He nodded. Dad, I love you. I love you too. After saying that, I quickly walked out of the room. In the stairwell, I heard Tom crying and Sophia comforting him. My heart ached, but I knew it was necessary. Better a brief pain than a long one. I left the complex and sat in the car for a long time. Thinking back on everything that had just happened, my emotions were a mixture of feelings. Tom, he really isn't my child, but the 5 years of feelings were real. Sophia did betray me, but her current pain is real too. Life is just that complicated. There's no absolute right or wrong. I took out my phone and called Leo. Prepare $1 million in cash. Mr. Ethan, what for? Don't ask, just prepare it. Okay. The next day, I had Leo deliver the money to Sophia. A note was attached. For Tom, his education fund, don't refuse. This was the last thing I could do for them. From then on, we would have nothing more to do with each other. 3 months later, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Chloe who called. Mr. Ethan, there's something I think you should know. Her voice was a bit urgent. What is it? I was in a meeting and a little impatient. Sophia had an accident. My heart tightened. What happened? She was injured at the factory and is now in the hospital. Is it serious? Her arm is broken, and she has a concussion. Chloe said she needs to be hospitalized. I was silent for a moment. Tom? Where? With him at the hospital. Her voice was a little choked. Mr. Ethan, Tom has been calling for Dad the whole time. He misses you. My heart softened. Which hospital? Shenzhen City Central Hospital. I glanced at my watch. 3 p.m. I understand. After hanging up, I canceled all my meetings and drove to the airport. On the plane, I kept wondering why I was going. I had clearly said I wouldn't meddle in their affairs anymore. So why couldn't I help but worry? Maybe it was because of Tom. The child who had called me Dad for 5 years. It was already 9 o'clock when I arrived in Shenzhen. The hospital corridor was very quiet. I found Sophia's ward. Through the glass window, I saw her lying in the hospital bed, bandages wrapped around her head and a cast on her right hand. Tom! He was sitting on the chair at the bedside, asleep, his body leaning on the edge of the bed. I pushed the door open. Ethan! Sophia looked at me, surprise in her eyes. What are you doing here? Chloe told me. I went to the bedside. Is it serious? It's fine, just a fracture. She forced a smile. It'll heal after a while. Tom heard the voices and woke up. He rubbed his eyes when he saw me, then cried out happily. Dad! He jumped down from the chair and flung himself into my arms. Dad, you finally came. He hugged me tightly. "I've missed you so much." "I missed you too." I held him, feeling very warm inside. "My mom is hurt. I'm very scared," he said, "but now Dad is here. I'm not afraid anymore." That sentence made my nose sting. "Tom, very brave." I patted his head. "Taking care of Mom has been hard." "Not hard." He shook his head. "Dad, are you going to take us home?" Sophia and I exchanged a glance, both not knowing how to answer. "Tom, Dad will take you to eat first," I said. "Mom needs to rest." "Okay." I took Tom to the hospital cafeteria and bought him the foods he likes. "Dad, when are we going back?" he asked as he ate. "Go back where?" "Back to our old house," he said. "I miss that big house and my toys." A pain stabbed my heart. "Tom, that house isn't ours anymore." I said, "We can't go back." "Why?" He didn't understand. Because Mom and Dad separated." I tried to explain it as simply as possible, like Xiaoming's parents. Xiaoming is his classmate. His parents are divorced. "Then who will I be with?" he asked. "With Mom." I said, "Mom will take care of you." "What about Dad?" His eyes were red. "Does Dad not want me anymore?" This question left me at a loss for how to answer. "Dad will always love Tom." I held him, "But Dad can't live with you anymore." "Why can't I?" he cried. "I want both Mom and Dad to be here." Watching him cry, my heart broke. How can a 5-year-old understand the complexities of the adult world? In his mind, I am his father, Sophia is his mother, and we should be a family. "Tom, don't cry." I wiped away his tears. "Daddy will come see you often from now on." Really? Really? I wasn't even sure I could keep that promise to myself. Back in the ward, Sophia was already awake. "Tom, come here." She called her son to the bedside. "Mom has something to tell Dad." Tom obediently sat in the chair. "Ethan, thank you for coming." Sophia looked at me. "But you don't need to stay." "I know. I'm serious." Her gaze was steady. "We're divorced now. You have no obligation to take care of us." "I know I'm not obligated." I said, "But Tom needs me. He will slowly forget you." Sophia said, "Tom will make him accept reality." "Are you sure?" I looked at her. A 5-year-old child. Forget 5 years of affection? She fell silent. "Also, you've seen how he is now?" I continued. "If I leave now, what will he think?" Sophia lowered her head and didn't answer. "Let me stay for a few days," I said. "Wait until you're feeling better." She wanted to refuse, but seeing Tom's expectant look, she finally nodded. For the next few days, I came to the hospital every day. I stayed with Tom during the day and took care of Sophia at night. Just like before, like a family. But we all knew this was only temporary. Sophia's wounds gradually improved, and Tom also became much more cheerful. On the 5th day, the doctor said she could be discharged. "Ethan, thank you for taking care of me these past few days," Sophia said while handling the discharge paperwork. "But we need to return to reality." "I know," I said, "but I'd like to make a suggestion." "What suggestion?" "Move back." I looked at her. "Back to our city." "Why?" She was surprised. "Shenzhen is too unfamiliar for you all," I said, "and Tom doesn't have any friends here either. But there are too many memories there." She said, "Memories are just memories," I said, "no matter where. What needs to be faced must be faced." She thought for a long time and finally nodded. "All right, let's go back." While waiting at the airport, Tom asked me, "Dad, after we go back, can we still live together?" I glanced at Sophia. She shook her head. "No." I crouched down and looked at him seriously. "But Dad will come see you often." "How often?" "Every weekend." I promised. "If you miss Dad, you can call him anytime." "Really?" His eyes lit up. "Really?" This time I meant what I said. After returning to our city, I rented a better house for Sophia and Tom. Every weekend, I went to see Tom. I played with him, told him stories, and took him to the amusement park. Like divorced parents, we take turns caring for the child. Although he isn't my biological son, 5 years of feelings can't be severed on a whim. I love this child, that's a fact. As for Sophia, our relationship is complicated. No longer husband and wife, but not strangers either. More like partners cooperating for the sake of the child. Sometimes watching her take care of Tom. I recall the good times we once had. But those memories of betrayal keep me from trusting her again. Maybe this is enough. Not every story needs a perfect ending. Some wounds need time to heal. Some relationships need to be redefined. And we are all learning to find our own place in this new relationship.